Well, let's start over here. What I think it would be good to just kind of introduce everyone to is maybe give a little bit of an idea from an organizational standpoint about what some of your current business challenges are. Remember, again, we're talking here about realizing next, and that means focusing on how we move our business models to the next level to address some of the future challenges that we're looking for. Manufacturing, big deal.
Yeah.
Probably, if you turn on the television, you listen to any news channel today, you're going to hear about manufacturing and manufacturing jobs and what we can do here in this country, and you're kind of a key part of that. So,
yeah.
Kevin, another perspective, right, on what's going on.
Right, so we're not an industry, as you saw, where I represent UI Labs, which hosts DMDII, the Digital Manufacturing and Design Innovation Institute. We have over 300 members, so I get the opportunity to hear what a large sampling of our industrial base is struggling with in terms of challenges. And I have 28 years of experience myself in industry at Motorola, Google, and Lenovo. The things that I see, the top challenges on my mind from that experience is, number one, there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of excitement about new technologies and a lot of confusion as a result by leaders in this room and among our membership about how to get started. Not wanting to throw good money, into deep holes that won't deliver. So a need to simplify or to clarify all that noise. Second thing that I see is a lack of big vision among many, especially established companies. You must invest with a master plan in mind, and our institute is helping, together to establish that plan for our members. A third area is access to skilled talent and training. Manufacturing has been kind of on its heels in the United States for decades, really. And the Institute's got established in order to help remedy that. One of the most encouraging things I've come across is Deloitte does a survey every 3 years of best countries for manufacturing competitiveness. They survey over 500 executives every 3 years since 2010. China's been at the top of the list for some of the obvious reasons. Low cost of labor, high investment from the top down. What's really interesting is there's a new up-and-coming country rising quickly in every survey, and by 2020 they expect the United States will be number one. Wow. It's our mission to help make that possible, and we need to get skilled talent with the right capabilities to operate the new kind of cyber-physical machines. The third or fourth area is small to medium manufacturers. This is a underappreciated segment of our industrial base. 99% of the manufacturing entities out there are small to medium manufacturers with less than 500 employees. 73% of those have less than 20 employees. These shops don't have cybersecurity experts or even IT people on staff. They're struggling to ship the parts they've committed to and not lose money on them. They're using many different tools, feel like they have little capacity for continuous improvement, and we need to bring them along. One of our top-tier members, Rolls-Royce, has publicly stated that 80% of the content of the product they ship is built by small to medium manufacturers. So as they go, so will U.S. industry.
Right. Yeah, great. Interesting. You said something that I think is important too, and that is you have to help these companies to have the vision, to have the right kind of vision going forward. Well, we're talking a little bit about vision here, and of course, one of the things that our theme here is realizing next, and vision, and so forth, and digitalization. John, you've been involved in PLM and digital technologies for a long time, right?
Are you saying I'm old?
No.
I just wondering.
No, I'm not. Not at all. is digitalization understood today as something different than what have been the traditional adoption, I guess, of digital technologies over a year? Are we at a tipping point here? Is digitalization a reality in terms of what you're seeing in your organization and the understanding of it? Kevin, you have a little different issue, though, when it comes to digitalization, because you're dealing with multiple companies with different processes. How does that fit for you?
Well, can I say something kind of contrarian, a little provocative? I don't like the word digitalization. It's hard to pronounce.
I agree.
But it's also mundane. You know, I've been in the tech business for a long time, and digital has been around since the 50s, right? Digital literally just means, you know, encoding things in zeros and ones. This is much bigger than that, and I think it could understate the sense of urgency that we should all have about embracing the new computer age. You had asked, I think, in this round of questions, like, what's different, what's next here? This is not about just digitizing information. It's about seizing the new computer age, which means machines that can now think faster than humans in more and more areas, to leverage that with humans to bring exponential benefits to your company and your country and to create wealth. Tony mentioned at the kickoff yesterday that, you know, do you want to be surpassed by competitors who are improving at 300%, you know, rates? And this is not an exaggeration. You know, I was in the mobile phone industry for a long time. Well, good number of years. And there's a company in China, Xiaomi, that very few people here know about, but we were tracking when I was in that industry. They're now number 5 in market share. They've exist for about 5 years. But what they're about is mass customization, building the products wrapped around with services and experiences that people want, and iterating on them every 2 weeks. They release new software and new hardware even every 2 weeks in an agile approach, and they've been running rings around their competitors. The smartphone business is plateauing. Apple has had a 0.2% increase year over year. Samsung is on the order of a few percent. Xiaomi, even at number 5 in market share, 93 million phones, is growing at 73% year over year. They will surpass, most likely, all but the top supplier. Zara, a fast fashion retailer, is also applying agile methods, learning from the market and mass customizing, moving manufacturing close to their market in order to give people what they want much faster and much more adaptively. And they're growing at double digits while most of the brick and mortar shops are closing up. So there's an urgency that I think digitalization kind of misses. And companies need to embrace the big vision of how can we use cyber-physical systems working with humans to accelerate your learning, so that you can be among those who are surpassing your competitors.
I mean, I can't argue your point. Absolutely. I've heard the word digitalization. I've heard people struggle with using it, and that's part of the reason of, I think, bringing the question up too, is it is different. It's vastly different than the old idea of just implementing digital technologies. And if you can come up with another word that you think really hits the mark, we'd be happy to help with that. But I think it's true. I mean, I don't know, Bob, does the word resonate, and the urgency of digitalization, that change, does that resonate within FCA? Which kind of leads me down a little bit of a path around this area of analytics. What role do you see? Are you seeing, are there efforts within any of your companies right now to really take advantage of some of the big data analytics tools that are out there? Do you see those playing a role? Are they factoring into your strategies today, or at least are they a part of what you see in the future in terms of your directions? Kevin, How about the initiatives that you have going on right now at UI Labs?
So we've been around for 4 years. So we heard from American Makes yesterday, and they've been around a bit longer. They were the first institute. We've launched 63 projects over those first 4 years, invested over $93 million, and they're spanning areas from concept and product development, system engineering in the early phases of the product lifecycle, to future factory, advanced manufacturing, to an agile, resilient supply chain, and cybersecurity, which underpins everything. So we've got this great portfolio, but as I alluded to earlier, like in many of our companies and in the market, there's scattershot of technologies that can be very confusing. And so over the last year, part of my mission was to create a vision for our research that helps us bring clarity and coherence to what we're doing within our own institute and to help our member companies. And that vision is every part better than the last. And this is a way of saying in 6 words, basically, what is at stake here. There's the opportunity to take the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, digital thread, which interconnects the entire life cycle, and collect information, process it using machines that can think, working with humans, to drive inputs back into the process in real time, so that every part you make actually has the opportunity, should you seize it, to be better than the last one. Better in terms of cost, perhaps, cycle time, quality, adherence to customer requirements. Are you building the right product in the first place? This vision applies at a micro level. If you have a welding operation, you can collect information about that weld, feed it into a cloud with additional data that's historically been collected, look for patterns correlating to excellent weld performance, and feed real-time inputs to ensure that weld is actually getting better as you make it, based on dynamic environmental factors. We have a project tackling just this. So that's at a micro level, and you can apply this to any manufacturing process. At a macro level, you can collect information about how a product's being used in the field and feed this back to the early stages of your product life cycle. The critical thing is this learning loop.
Yeah.
That's the big vision that I encourage all of us to pursue as we adopt digital technologies. It'll steer you toward different purchase decisions when you're making IT, software purchases, and so on. Solutions that enable a holistic problem solving. So we've organized our initiatives around that vision. We have 4 thrusts. The design, product development thrust this year is focused on moving manufacturing to the left. In other words, taking all that downstream information and making it relevant at just the right time and place for the design and engineer. We have a workshop coming up later in March, March 21st and 22nd, to frame specific initiatives that will help realize that and build on our existing portfolio in that space. In the future factory area, we've got this portfolio of now dozens of projects that have completed, and we're beginning to integrate them in the factory. It's a live factory that actually can build real product, and it's a great sandbox for members to actually rent time on that equipment so they don't have to disrupt their own. And we'll demonstrate and reduce to practice some of these benefits so that companies can internalize this and translate it into their own operations and tie it to an ROI. This agile, resilient supply chain, which is the next area, the focus there is to realize the promise of the digital twin and the digital thread, which has been especially elusive in the supply chain because it's a heterogeneous environment. It's got that massive set of 250,000 small to medium manufacturers who have little resources, and yet large OEMs need to collaborate with them and need to model how their supply chain operates in order to make real-time, optimized, data-driven decisions about where to place orders for the highest return for the business. And so we have initiatives that are tackling blockchain, for instance, and helping bring multiple members together along with academia and solution providers to figure out like where are we at with blockchain? Is that a clean slate that can help us reduce this fragmentation in the supply chain and in other areas? And you know, help companies chart that course not on their own, but reduce the risk by having many perspectives at the table. And then finally, cybersecurity. Yesterday we announced that DMDII is hosting a national cybersecurity hub. We received a special grant from DoD to establish this. This is important because already manufacturing is the highest attacked segment of the economy by hackers. 35% of all attacks target manufacturing. If the Deloitte prediction is true that the US will be the most competitive place to manufacture in 2020, and it's because of digital technology, the attack surface area will only increase, and the attractiveness of these targets will only increase by bad actors. And so it's essential we build this in up front. And so we have initiatives especially targeted at improving the cyber hygiene of small to medium manufacturers. Very easy to use practical solutions that help, you know, engage them in improving their cyber hygiene by, you know, from the cloud, identifying vulnerabilities in their systems, and then progressively, you know, getting more information about how they can improve their processes.
Right, right. No, very impressive. I mean, interesting. The different aspects that you're talking about there that relate to manufacturing, and it's critical. Maybe I'll throw something out here to the whole group here, because Bob, you talked yesterday about some of your initiatives, so we looked at that. But and perhaps you can start, although I know you're a bit shy. Don't like.
I am. Yes. Very.
But maybe from all of you, what are you worried about? What are the things you're doing right now? Not to be negative, but what are you most worried about that could harm your chances of success? Yep. What worries you?
What worries me is this inflection point that we're talking about, the opportunities presented by, you know, the new computer age are, I wonder how much of the manufacturing population is able to make that transition.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think, you know, we saw a lot of exciting companies present during this workshop, a lot of new ones that have started with a clean sheet and are embracing the digital thread and digital twin in the way they do things. And there are many established companies that are very serious about that transformation, and that's exciting. But there are so many more in the middle, and especially in the small to medium range, who you know, do not grasp the big vision and what's at stake. And I think there'll be a lot of disruption.
Yep.
And displacement, dislocation of people, that'll be very painful. So, you know, therefore, workforce development and, you know, I think more quick wins that help to justify the big investment that needs to happen from the top down is critical.
Yeah, I think it's a key point. In fact, it's funny, during the networking and everything, I mean, your small teams, quick wins was a theme that I heard a lot of people talk about, and they really
I think I'm going to copyright that.
I think you should. I absolutely think you should.
Maybe we should change, see, I can't even say it, the digital piece to quick wins.
Well, we've had a chance to kind of ask some questions here. I think it would be good to open it up and see if there are some questions out there in the group that you'd like to ask any of our individuals here. You've heard about their initiatives. You've heard them talk about what worries them, what they're hoping to get to next. We've got some microphones that are out there, so we'd certainly entertain some questions if any of you out there have some questions you'd like to ask any of the individuals here.
Well, it's building on the quick win piece, and you know, we have a prospective customer that when we talk about integration and so forth, they're a very large customer, and they'll say things like, well, you know, we don't care about all that integration, we'll just do pockets of things. right, and put it together. But yet when they tell me the business issue they want to solve, it's an integration problem, and it's really hard, right? And they're not seeing it, I don't think, at times. And then you balance that with the quick wins. I'm a big believer in quick wins as well, because you've got to show progress. The question to all of you is how do you balance the quick wins against the big, hard problems that are very, very difficult, that require lots of integration, require complete system change, these types of things. And you've talked about it a little bit, but I just wonder how you do that, because you can keep doing the quick little wins, and sometimes you're not going to get the big thing that you need to really transform the way you work. And just your thoughts on that, because I realize you got to have both, and how do you do that?
You know, I think if you're a new company or you're in a CEO position, you should start with a big vision and work it down and build a culture around it from the start. But most companies and the customers represented here are not in that position. So I think that's where quick win for a purpose is the right way to get started, you know, aligned with that vision. And if you're in a position where you could design a quick win that is an example, a microcosm of the opportunity of the big vision, the big picture, then you have a success story that you can bring to a CEO, a CFO, et cetera, to drive more of a top-down reorganization of the company, because ultimately that's what should happen in order to take advantage of this opportunity.
Yeah, great point. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, one idea I'd throw out is, you know, you can have a hackathon within your company to call for teams to form around some theme. Let's just say every part better than the last, perhaps. You know, but literally, like, let's look for opportunities to create systematic feedback loops that cause us to learn continually and accelerate our progress in whatever area is important, whatever your top KPIs for your business are. Design a hackathon, and then the teams that form are the teams of the willing, the leaders who want to seize that opportunity and are willing to propose something, and who think they're systems people. They think about holistic implications and are entrepreneurial, and then reward the winning teams, you know, create an evaluation process. I've done this a number of times in different roles I've been in, where you reward those teams with an opportunity to implement what they've proposed, the winning ones, you know. And that could be a way of enabling the right kind of people to self-select that you can then give more resources to.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny, it almost sounds like we've come back around to the word passion you brought up, John.
Yeah.
And Dell introduced that, in fact, at the very beginning. But I think we are looking for, I think that's key. It could be key in your teams. It's key in what you've just talked about. It's key in what every one of you. Getting the right kind of, not only the right kind of people, but the people that can bring the passion to make those things happen. I want to thank each one of you. I think this was some great discussion. We appreciate what you've done here in being a part of our seminar here this week, and in sharing your thoughts and sharing your experiences. So join me in thanking John and Todd and Kevin and Bob here for their participation. Thank you.